In the year I was most socially anxious, I hired a rough construction worker as my kept man. Every time I invited him over for the night, I was incredibly nervous. Excuse me, would you like to, do that thing tonight? I stammered. He leaned down and nipped at my blushing cheek. That thing, eh? That'll cost you extra, he growled. And no problem, I nodded hastily, agreeing. This continued until I unexpectedly went bankrupt and decided to painfully set him free. The rugged man, taking a drag of his post-coital cigarette, listened to my explanation. Then, quite casually, he handed me a black card. Take this. Keep supporting me, he said. Who said you could set me free? Ding! Webnovel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. I've been watching that handsome, rugged man on the construction site across from my coffee shop for quite some time now. He arrived a week ago. His name is Andrew Stanfield. The older workers seem to think he's too young, and they've been giving him a hard time. They barely speak to him, don't give him any work to earn money, and generally ignore him. Andrew's expression has been gloomy every day. I tried to resist, but I couldn't hold back any longer. On Andrew's 8th day at the construction site, I mustered up the courage to leave my coffee shop, braving the roar of machinery and swirling dust, as well as the curious glances from the other workers. I approached Andrew, who was leaning against a corner, lost in thought. The man was tall and well-built, with a chiseled profile and an overwhelming aura of masculinity. I blushed, hesitating to speak. The man snapped out of his reverie, noticing me. He paused for a moment, then said gruffly, "Oi, entering a construction site without a hard hat. Do you have a death wish?" He had a cigarette between his lips, making his words a bit muffled. After speaking, he took his own hard hat and placed it on my head. I hurriedly adjusted the hard hat. "Hello, I have something to discuss with you." "With me?" I nodded. Under the man's indifferent gaze, I cautiously said, I was wondering if you could be my kept man." Andrew paused. "What did you say?" I nervously swallowed, my eyes darting around, completely unable to meet his gaze. If you could be my kept man." My name is Claire Gresham. I run the coffee shop across from the construction site. I'm not a bad person. Don't worry, I'll treat you well, I absolutely won't disrespect you. And I'll give you money every month, £20,000. That way you won't have to work so hard at the construction site. And you won't be bullied by the older workers anymore. What do you say? Andrew remained silent, leisurely exhaling a puff of smoke. Through the haze, I sensed that he was looking me up and down. His gaze brazenly swept over my face, my neck. Just as I thought I was about to be rejected, he raised an eyebrow. "All right then." As the coffee shop closed for the night, Andrew finished his shift as well. He stood behind me, watching as I locked up the shop, then followed me to a nearby hotel. I'm socially anxious. Severely socially anxious. For a moment, I didn't know what to say to this tall, handsome kept man. So I just walked with my head down. The more I walked, the more awkward I felt. The more awkward I felt, the worse I walked. Flustered and fumbling, it was a vicious cycle. Andrew didn't seem to notice my awkward gait. As we passed a convenience store, he suddenly asked in a lazy voice, "Don't you need to buy some tools for the deed, my benefactor?" My ears burned. I think the hotel room should have everything we need. I'm worried about the size not being right. Then could you please go buy some? I'll transfer you the money. My voice had become as small as a mosquito's buzz. Andrew didn't move, looking at me somewhat mischievously. Isn't it more fun to buy these things together? My face felt like it was about to burst into flames. I hurriedly waved my hands. And no, I'll wait for you up ahead. Before he could say anything, I scurried away, my arms and legs moving in awkward unison. I could hear Andrew's faint chuckle behind me. Fortunately, I didn't have to wait long before he caught up with me, carrying a small bag. We entered the hotel, checked in, and went up to our room. This was the most rebellious thing I'd ever done in my life. What was about to happen was obvious. So my heart was pounding like a rabbit's. I had considered taking him back to my place. But the walls there were thin. If the neighbors heard anything, it would be mortifying. And I'd never be able to face them again. So a hotel was safest and most suitable for our arrangement. I told myself to stay calm, but as I tried to swipe the keycard to open the door, my hand shook, and I couldn't get it to work. Just then, a tall, solid body pressed against me from behind. Andrew reached around me, covering my hand with his to swipe the card again. Beep. It opened. He whispered in my ear, "Why are you so nervous?" Andrew had an impressive physique. Six-pack abs and a trim waist. His muscles were well-defined, yet not unsightly. Just standing there, he exuded raw sex appeal. Any woman, no matter how aloof, couldn't help but look his way. It was love at first sight. This was the conclusion I'd drawn after secretly observing him at the coffee shop for a week. I just hadn't expected it to be this good. When he pressed against me, I felt my entire spine melting. After Andrew gently pushed me into the room, my mind went completely blank. I did whatever he told me to do. Take a shower. Lie down. I was so obedient. After showering, Andrew stood by my bed and suddenly poked my cheek. Not too hard, not too soft. "Claire, I'm asking you one last time. Are you sure you want me to be your kept man? Wait, you do know what being a kept man means, right?" I slowly took out my phone. I transferred him £20,000 on the spot. My voice trembled. "I know, and I'm sure." Andrew stared at me expressionlessly for a few seconds, then reached for the shopping bag from the convenience store. He pulled out a bunch of snacks. There wasn't a single adult item in sight. Where were the naughty bits we'd agreed on? Just as I was about to anxiously inquire, he suddenly stuffed a strawberry-flavored lollipop into my mouth. It was sickly sweet. Andrew said irritably, "You don't know Jack. Today we're just going to eat some snacks and watch a film, all right?" Andrew lay down beside me and actually started browsing through the pay-per-view movies on the telly. This rather uneventful turn of events left me feeling a bit disappointed. I sucked on my lollipop, staring at him expectantly. "Andrew, I've already paid you. You can't back out now." The man clicked the remote control repeatedly. "I never said I was backing out." Confused, I asked quietly, "Then why aren't you, doing that thing with me?" "It's too soon. I don't want to frighten you." "I'm not scared." Andrew gave me a mocking glance. "Then why have you been shaking all evening, not even daring to look up? You're as scared as a rabbit." Embarrassed at being seen through, I mumbled, "It's not that bad." "Really?" "Because it seems to me like you're afraid of making eye contact. Isn't that what they call social anxiety online?" "Well, so you really do have social anxiety. How do you manage running a shop?" "Customers order online. Then I prepare everything behind the counter and they pick it up themselves. Minimal interaction required." "What if a customer insists on coming close to talk to you, like this?" As he said this, Andrew leaned in deliberately to tease me. However, as he got closer, our eyes naturally met. Suddenly, neither of us spoke. I licked my lollipop, my social anxiety making me instinctively want to look away to avoid the awkwardness. Abruptly, Andrew's Adam's apple bobbed as he said, "Hey, we can't do that, but we could try something else." "Want to?" I noticed his gaze fixed on my mouth. Mustering my courage, I tilted my chin up towards him. "Why yes, please." Then, the lollipop was pulled from my mouth. The sweet knocked against my front teeth. And just as I was about to let out a pained sound, a shadow fell over me. The sound of discomfort was muffled as his lips covered mine. At first, Andrew's kissing technique was surprisingly inexperienced. Of course, I didn't notice, because I was even more inexperienced. But quickly, Andrew mastered the essentials. He cradled the back of my head with one hand, our lips and teeth intertwining. We both used the hotel's complimentary shower gel, so we smelled exactly the same. warmed by his unusually high body temperature. It was absolutely dizzying. After the lollipop was pushed back into my mouth, I was still a bit dazed. Andrew didn't disturb me. He carelessly wiped the saliva from my mouth with his large hand, then continued searching for a suitable film to watch. When I came to my senses, I gently tugged at the hem of his shirt. "Andrew, I want to kiss some more." The man who had been trying to keep his cool instantly lost his composure. He swore. Tossing the remote control aside, he turned back to me. His gaze was intense, like it was mixed with fire. So that night, we didn't end up watching any films. I'm not sure if my lollipop ended up in the bin or some forgotten corner. No one paid any attention to it. I only remember Andrew's husky comment, as he wiped the moisture from my lips one last time. "Strawberry flavor really is sweet." Although we ended up just talking under the duvet, I was quite satisfied and bashful about how things had turned out. Sitting in my coffee shop, I touched my slightly swollen lips, happily looking towards the construction site across the street. Dust filled the air. I couldn't see Andrew. I didn't mind. I was lost in thought, imagining the shape of Andrew's muscles as he worked. Suddenly, my usually silent phone lit up with an incoming call. Seeing the caller ID, my mood instantly dropped. I stared anxiously at the phone until the caller lost patience and hung up. I'm not sure how much time passed. Tap, tap. At that moment, someone casually knocked on the coffee shop's window. I looked up and locked eyes with my rough-and-tumble Prince Charming. Andrew was covered in dirt and cement dust, his whole body radiating heat from working under the scorching sun. That's why he didn't come inside, instead asking me through the glass. "What's wrong? You look unhappy. Weren't you satisfied with my service last night?" I shook my head. "No, it's not that." But his mention of last night made me hesitate, and I stammered, "Do you want to get together again tonight?" He eyed me, deliberately asking, "Get together for what?" Even though I was alone in the coffee shop at the moment, I still whispered as quietly as possible, "To spend the night out." "Can't do it, I'm busy. Got important work at the construction site tonight, can't get away." Feeling sorry that he had to work overtime bending rebar and hauling cement, I considered myself a caring and considerate benefactor, so naturally I wouldn't pressure him further. "All right then, you go ahead with your work." I pressed my lips together in disappointment. My mouth, still swollen from last night's kisses, was an angry red, like a soaked berry. Pursing my lips made the flush even more vivid. Andrew stared at me, his Adam's apple suddenly bobbing. "Come out here for a sec." "Oh. Okay." Thinking he found it awkward to talk through the glass, I obediently got up and went outside to Andrew's side. "What is it?" The man said nothing. Amidst the rumbling from the nearby construction site, he suddenly bent down and kissed my cheek. Then my lips. Only his mouth made contact with me. Not a speck of dirt transferred to me. No matter how busy I am, I'll always make time to satisfy my benefactor. My heart skipped a few beats, defying my control. After Andrew left for the construction site, I stumbled back to the coffee shop in a daze. I felt as if I'd won the lottery. For the first time in my uneventful 24 years, I'd dared to break the mold and keep a man. To my surprise, I'd found someone truly wonderful. Andrew wasn't just handsome, he was respectful too. Even though he was so poor he had to work as a laborer. But that didn't matter. I could scrimp and save, sell a few more coffees to support him. It was a shame, though, that Andrew was so busy for the next few days. Every time I invited him for an overnight stay, he was unavailable. He could only occasionally steal a moment to come and kiss me at the coffee shop entrance. Moreover, Andrew said the construction site was dangerous, and told me not to visit him there. He'd come to see me after his shift. To be honest, this strange arrangement made it seem like I was the kept woman, eagerly awaiting my benefactor's visits. After a few such encounters, even someone as passive as me couldn't help but feel a bit miffed. I'd already given him £20,000. 2 weeks had passed with nothing but a few kisses. It felt like I was getting a raw deal. So one day, when Andrew came to my shop again, I confronted him, trying my best to look stern. I don't think this is right. You've taken the money but haven't delivered. Andrew wasn't dirty today. So he came straight behind the counter of my coffee shop, stealing little kisses on my face while there were no customers. He seemed to love kissing me, especially my face. Each kiss left 2 small marks that quickly faded, but he never tired of it. The man replied roguishly, "What are you mumbling about like a mosquito? Speak up." I raised my voice, trying to sound righteous. "Andrew, I think we need to have a proper talk." "About what?" "Well, you've taken the money, but you haven't done what a kept man should. We need to discuss a refund." Andrew raised an eyebrow. He leaned in to examine me closely. "Claire, who said you were timid? You're quite bold, aren't you?" "Oh, I suddenly have a question. Why did you want me to be your kept man?" As a socially anxious person, I dreaded being stared at and teased like this. Avoiding his gaze, I said sheepishly, "I think you're attractive, you have a nice body, you're my type. And you give me a sense of security. It makes me feel like I have something that belongs to me." I said the last part very softly and vaguely. He probably didn't hear it. "Oh, so basically you fancy me, right?" I didn't deny it, my face burning hot. I did fancy him. "So, are you free tonight too, you know? Not just kissing, I mean." Andrew lowered his head and nipped at my blushing face. "Oh, that'll cost extra." "And no problem." I nodded eagerly in agreement. Andrew chuckled. "All right then, I'll be done with work tonight, so." Unfortunately, a customer walked in at that moment. So Andrew didn't finish his sentence. He let go of me and left with an ambiguous remark. "So tonight I won't be treating you to snacks. We'll be having something else instead." That evening, Claire and Andrew walked one after another towards the hotel. This time, the plastic bag he was carrying didn't contain snacks. It held the actual tools for our night. Andrew had dragged me into the convenience store to buy them himself. Extra large. Ultra thin. These adult-only words in Andrew's deliberately teasing low voice hit my brain directly. At that moment, I widened my eyes and quickly darted to one side. I took out my phone, repeatedly opening several apps, pretending to be busy. Right. As long as I don't make eye contact, no one can see me. I'm not buying them. I'm just passing by. I frantically reassured myself. But I still felt like the store clerk or other customers were secretly staring at me, including passers-by, the hotel receptionist. It wasn't until we entered the room that I let out a sigh of relief. "Andrew, I'll take a shower first." "Wait a moment, no rush." I turned back to look at Andrew in confusion. "Is there anything else?" "Of course there is." The man casually took off his shirt. Smooth, muscular lines, hair slightly disheveled by static electricity. Top-tier male beauty hit me straight in the eyes. Last time we stayed overnight, he only kissed me and didn't take off his clothes. I could only peek carefully. So his action today was like an unexpected treat. It instantly captured my gaze. Andrew stared at me with deep eyes and said, "How can I let my benefactor shower alone? Would you like me to give you a thorough bathing service? What happens when 2 people shower together? It goes without saying." I gulped, feeling a shiver run through my body. Yes. The hotel bathroom. Steamy and hot, the air thick with moisture. After the extreme embarrassment came an intense daze. As if drowning in the very air. Several times I nearly collapsed to the floor, but was fortunately caught just in time. Andrew truly lived up to his reputation as someone who hauled cement and rebar on construction sites all day. His stamina was truly remarkable. Thankfully, this hotel's cleaning standards were decent. Otherwise I would have never agreed to the window seat. By the time I was cleaned up and placed on the bed for the second time, I was still breathless, my vision slightly unfocused. When he reached under the covers again, I instinctively shuddered. Looking pleadingly at this tall, muscular kept man, I softly begged, "Andrew, I want to sleep. Andrew seemed to have developed a taste for it. But seeing my pitiful state, he didn't continue. He lay down and asked, "All right, so were you satisfied with my service today?" I nodded shyly. "Very satisfied." "I'll add to your payment right now." Andrew chuckled. He leaned in to kiss me, mumbling, "How can you be so adorable?" "So how much are you planning to add?" I took out my phone and transferred money to him right in front of his eyes. With utmost seriousness. "I've asked around. The male models at the White Horse Club down the street charge £400 for one time, £600 for overnight. You're better than those models, so I'm giving you £666. Isn't that lucky?" Andrew's expression froze. After a long moment, he gritted out a single word through clenched teeth. "Brilliant." After that evening, I felt a bit less awkward and socially anxious around Andrew. However, I still experienced an inexplicable nervousness when facing him. I couldn't quite put my finger on why. Although Andrew was supposedly just a cement worker, I sensed a certain aura about him. There was even a subtle air of authority, reminiscent of the wealthy entrepreneurs I'd seen in financial news. But he was slightly different. Andrew had a more casual and roguish charm compared to those elite figures. Less lofty and pristine. Moreover, when we checked into the hotel, I caught a glimpse of his ID. Surprisingly, he was only 22 years old. What a shame. If he hadn't entered the workforce, he'd likely be a university student preparing for an internship. It was hard not to like him or feel sympathy. Recalling the intimate moments from that night, his toned, sexy muscles, and his burning touch, I licked my lips and curled up behind the counter to text him. "Andrew, are you free tonight for, you know?" After a long while, he replied, "Not free. What about just a quick kiss?" "Can't do that either. I'm not at the construction site lately." This kept man was being a bit disobedient. He didn't even bother to inform his benefactor about his recent plans. I immediately threw a mini tantrum. "Where have you gone then? Why didn't you tell me?" "Went out of town to sign a contract and attend a meeting." Message retracted. He suddenly retracted a message. But I'd already seen it, so I curiously asked, "A meeting? Signing a contract? What kind of meeting? What sort of contract? Is the cement industry so high-end now?" After a moment of silence, he typed back, "Yeah, signing contracts is about finding new jobs. It's more secure, so we don't get cheated by dodgy foremen. The meetings are about discussing how to lay cement more efficiently, and how to earn more money from bricklaying." I mused. "I see. So when will you be back?" Andrew replied, "About a week. Wait for me." "All right. Claire, don't you dare keep any other men while I'm away. I'll ask the security guard at the site when I'm back to see if you've been up to no good." It felt oddly like being scolded by my kept man. The tables had turned. I scratched my cheek. Understood. During Andrew's absence, I kept myself busy at the coffee shop during the day. In the evenings, we'd exchange messages. We rarely called each other. Due to my social anxiety, I never knew what to say on the phone and felt quite awkward. Andrew was very accommodating. He simply teased me through text messages. Days were filled with unknown anticipation, and everything seemed to be looking up. Until the day Andrew returned. I was preparing to close the shop early to spend the night out with him, when an unexpected visitor arrived. My foster father showed up. Seeing no customers, he immediately started lecturing me. "Claire, why did you stop coming home after we had a few words with you? Did you really need your dad to come and personally invite you before Christmas? We've raised you for 24 years. Do you know how much we've sacrificed for you? You've become weird from too much studying. You don't even know how to socialize anymore. We shouldn't have been soft and let you go to university. We should have arranged your marriage right after high school. It would have saved us money and trouble." "That's right. Claire, say something. Why are you being so rude?" I looked up. "I won't be returning to your home." My foster father's face darkened. Don't be ungrateful now. If you don't come back home to get married and receive the dowry, how will your brother afford his wedding? His wedding has nothing to do with me. He shouted, nothing to do with you? Who paid for your university? I coldly replied, I earned it myself by working part-time. Throughout my 4 years at university, you only gave me £500 in total, which I've already paid back. My foster father hesitated, a bit lost for words. Then he stiffened his neck. We didn't give you money to teach you independence. Even if we didn't give you anything, so what? You can never repay the debt of raising you all these years. I will gradually repay you for everything, you can leave now. My face turned cold as I dismissed him. Being disobedient, are you? I'll lock you in the cellar when we get home, come here. My foster father cursed and took a big step forward to grab my arm. I was about to dodge in panic. The next second, my foster father was kicked away, crashing into a set of tables and chairs with a clatter. Oi, didn't you hear? Get lost! Andrew's voice rang out, full of menace and incredibly intimidating. My foster father was a gaunt figure. Realizing he couldn't overpower Andrew, he glared at me before leaving with a grimace, muttering curses under his breath. Naturally, Andrew responded with a middle finger. As for me, I stared at the tall man in a daze. Andrew looked particularly striking today. Perhaps due to the wind outside. The collar of his windbreaker was turned up, partially covering his jaw. On his feet were limited edition trainers I recognized at a glance. His style was completely different from the simple t-shirts and joggers he used to wear when working on construction sites. He looked handsome and expensive, more refined. Who's that middle-aged bloke? Andrew turned to ask me, the anger on his face subsiding. He's my foster father. Foster father? Andrew frowned. Does he often give you trouble? Not wanting to delve into those sordid stories, I forced a smile. It's nothing, he just wanted me to come home for dinner, but I don't want to go. Is that all? Yes. I'll talk to them later, it's just family stuff. I nodded, afraid he'd ask more questions, and quickly changed the subject. Andrew, what's with your clothes? I think I've seen that brand of windbreaker online. It costs hundreds or even thousands of pounds, and those shoes must be expensive too. I thought you were broke. The man who had just put his hand on my waist froze oddly. He coughed tactically, his eyes wandering. Why yeah, of course I'm broke. I went to work out of town, right? There happened to be a wholesale market nearby that sells high-quality replicas of designer clothes and bags, very cheap. To avoid being looked down upon by unscrupulous contractors and bosses, a group of us bought some replica clothes to keep up appearances. Look at this quality, it only cost a few quid. I felt his clothes, half believing. Really? Do they have an online shop? I'd like to buy one too. I'll get you the link later. Andrew leaned down to kiss me, mumbling. Forget about the clothes, let me kiss you first. We haven't seen each other for a week, I need to take good care of you today. All my suspicions were immediately interrupted by this kiss. Andrew, let's go to my place tonight. That day, I plucked up the courage to bring Andrew back to my flat. It was time to save where I could and splurge where it mattered. Hotel rooms were getting a bit pricey. Besides, after spending time together, I'd come to trust Andrew. He wasn't just some pretty face, he had substance. Andrew didn't say much about it. But that night, he pinned me down on the small bed in my bedroom, letting his desires run wild. Thankfully, the neighbors were away for a few days. Otherwise, the creaking of the bed and my cries would have surely alarmed them. For 2 days straight, Andrew and I holed up in my flat. I didn't open my coffee shop, and he didn't go to work. His explanation was simple. Just finished a project. No work until next month when the new one starts. I didn't quite understand the ins and outs of his job, so I didn't question it. I just trembled as I reached for my phone to transfer him some money. But before I could hit confirm, he snatched the phone away. No need. All these services were on the house. On the house? I stammered. I met Andrew's gaze through my wet lashes. He gave me a cryptic smile. Yes, free. I spent quite a while learning just for you. I was a bit taken aback. Then, feeling a wave of bashfulness, I hooked my finger around his, which was resting casually on the bed. His fingers were long, with slightly rough knuckles. Very manly. So, are there any other free services? Andrew clicked his tongue, his eyes suddenly growing dark with desire. Of course there are. When I finally made it back to my coffee shop, my legs were still wobbly. Andrew had gone back to his construction site. We'd agreed to have dinner together that evening. Dinner. Such an intimate act. It seemed like it would be the first time in the month since we'd met. That we'd be meeting up just to eat, not for any funny business. I liked that. It filled me with anticipation. Lost in my thoughts, I heard the shop door open. I turned with a smile, for once eager to greet a customer. But my smile froze when I saw who it was. This time, my foster parents came together. My foster mother pointed at me fiercely, spittle flying everywhere. Claire, I'm giving you two choices, she spat. 1, come back with me obediently and marry. That cripple may not be much of a man, but his family's loaded. Once we get the dowry, you'll have repaid your debt of gratitude for raising you. 2, cough up all the money we've spent on you over the years. From when we took you in from the children's home to when you went off to university. That's the only way to sever ties, you understand? I asked coldly. I choose option 2. How much in total? My foster mother looked me up and down, her eyes calculating. £500,000. I've only been out of uni for a year or two. I don't have that kind of money. I know you don't, but I've done my research. You bought this shop at a bargain price. Once that big shopping center across the road is built, this location will be worth a fortune. 500,000 will be peanuts then. I have to say, you freak, you do have a head for business. My foster mother blinked, then continued in a patronizing tone. So, transfer this shop to me for free, and we'll call it even. After a long silence, I nodded. Fine, but we need to sign an agreement. Everything in black and white, and legally notarized. No problem. My foster mother was overjoyed, reaching out to pat my shoulder affectionately. But I dodged her touch. I'm an orphan. When this couple adopted me from the children's home, I naively thought I was the luckiest kid in the world. Little did I know they were all rotten to the core. The man was a hypocrite, the woman a shrew, and their biological son good for nothing. They adopted me initially just so my foster father could gain a good reputation at work and get promoted. They treated me decently at first. Later, when my foster father was fired for gambling misconduct, I became a burden. Whenever something didn't go their way, or if I did something they didn't like, I was either verbally and physically abused or locked in a dark room. This made me struggle with social interactions, becoming increasingly withdrawn and anxious. When I noticed my foster father looking at me inappropriately, I ran away immediately. Andrew was my attempt at self-redemption. It worked quite well. Very well, in fact. He made me feel alive, gave me a sense of purpose. But I've let myself down. Because I'm about to go bankrupt, with no money left to keep him. After my foster parents left, I watched Andrew walking over from the construction site across the road. If only I hadn't started keeping him, then I wouldn't have fallen for him so hard. That evening, I had dinner with Andrew. Pretending everything was normal, I said, Andrew, you don't need to come see me for the next few days. The man who was pouring water for me looked up with a sinister glance. Claire, if you dare to keep other men, I swear I'll make sure they enter your house standing and leave it lying down. There it was again, that inexplicable sense of intimidation. I scratched my head. No, it's not that. There's just some family business I need to take care of. I might not be at the shop, and I won't have time to see you. Oh, all right then, he said, casually asking. What kind of business? Your foster family isn't giving you trouble, are they? I lowered my eyes guiltily. No, just ordinary family matters that need sorting out. Claire, Andrew suddenly called my name, his tone cold. I looked up. He was staring at me. If there's anything wrong, you can tell me. I can help you. I scratched my head awkwardly. How could he, a simple construction worker and my kept man, help me? By roughing someone up? I didn't take him seriously. Over the next few days, I made excuses about being busy and told Andrew not to come see me. Accompanied by my smug foster parents, I went through the process of transferring ownership of the shop. All the equipment and furniture were seized. They claimed it was all theirs now. I didn't argue. I just silently calculated how to get back every penny of what was rightfully mine. I might be socially anxious, but I'm not a pushover. After everything at the shop was transferred, I called Andrew to my house. I wanted him to service me one last time before setting him free. Andrew arrived quickly. Having been out of work recently, he looked clean and tidy, dressed like a proper gentleman. I didn't say much. Gathering my courage, I snuggled up to him and asked with pleading eyes, "Andrew, can you stay a bit longer tonight?" The man's stern expression softened slightly. He grunted, "When have I not stayed longer?" Then, he showered me with kisses and embraces, lifting me up playfully. A night of passion ensued. Afterwards, Andrew stood by the window smoking his post-coital cigarette, careful not to let the smoke bother me. He wore nothing but his boxers, his muscular physique adorned with the marks I'd left on him. After indulging in the sight for a moment, I reluctantly called out to him, "Andrew, I need to talk to you about something. Come here for a sec." Andrew turned, his expression both satisfied and teasing. "You were crying earlier, and now you want more?" I shook my head, embarrassed. "No, it's something serious." "All right then." He put out his cigarette, brushed his teeth to get rid of the smell, and came over to me. "What's this serious matter?" I sighed, then transferred some money to him right in front of his eyes. It wasn't a fortune, but it wasn't a small sum either. "This money is for you. You don't need to come anymore after this. I'm setting you free." Andrew's face, which had been slightly amused, instantly darkened. "Claire, what do you mean?" "I mean you don't have to be my kept man anymore. I'm no longer going to support you financially. Give me a reason." I sighed again. "There's no other way. I'm bankrupt." "What about the coffee shop?" "The coffee shop belongs to someone else now. This is all the money I have left, and I'm giving it all to you. At least you won't have to work so hard anymore." I looked at Andrew apologetically after saying this. But to my surprise, he seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. He said, "Is that all?" Then, Andrew rummaged through the clothes he had carelessly thrown on the floor when he came in and pulled out his wallet. He opened it and took out a black card. He casually handed it to me. "Take this. Keep supporting me. Who said you could set me free?" The Centurion black card. I knew a thing or two about who could possess such a card. I was utterly shocked. Looking at the black card, then at the tall and muscular Andrew standing before me, I frowned. "Do you have other benefactors? Won't they be upset if they know you've given me this card?" Andrew let out a sound that resembled a laugh. "Yes, you keep it. I'll earn money from other benefactors to support you instead. But, no buts. Go to sleep. Tomorrow, you can use the card to buy whatever you want. Even a plane if you fancy. Just don't keep other men, and do as you please." Andrew ruffled my hair, wrapped his arm around my waist, turned off the lights, and went to sleep. I wanted to ask something but didn't open my mouth. My heart felt both sweet and heavy. Sweet because I could still be with Andrew. Heavy because Andrew was sacrificing so much for me. The next morning when I woke up, Andrew had already left for some business. Before leaving, he left a puzzling message. "Stay home and rest for a few days, and everything will be fine." Thinking he was referring to certain matters, I nodded with a blushing face. However, a few days later, I suddenly heard that my adoptive family seemed to have run into big trouble. My brother had somehow picked up the same bad habit as my adoptive father and racked up a mountain of gambling debts. For the sake of their only son, my adoptive parents sold their house and car, and even the shop they had just snatched from me. In the end, a mysterious buyer acquired it at a very low price. After a series of transactions, my adoptive parents finally scraped together enough money to pay off the debt and save their son. With no money left, they thought of me again. But when my adoptive brother came to find me, he mysteriously broke his leg on the way. When my adoptive father came looking for me, he mysteriously broke his arm on the way. When my adoptive mother came to find me, she discovered on the way that my adoptive father, with his broken arm, was still trying to book a room with another woman. It was utter chaos and a complete mess. Later, a fortune teller visited them and said that my birth chart clashed with their families, and they needed to stay away from me to keep their family safe. I knew something wasn't right lately. It's all because of that little witch Claire. My adoptive parents quickly took their son back to their hometown, wanting to avoid me, the harbinger of misfortune. But due to their poverty, the family actually listened to the nonsense of their fellow villagers and decided to go to northern Myanmar to make their fortune. They lost contact the day they arrived. I was a bit dazed, not having had the chance to intervene. I was even more bewildered when Andrew handed me the property deed for the coffee shop with my name on it. Take this. From now on, just focus on making money there. And keep me as your kept man, Andrew said. I was still a bit dazed. The Andrew in front of me was still Andrew, but somehow unfamiliar. You helped me? I asked. Are you touched? It's hard to find such a good-kept man like me in this world. Come here and give me a kiss first. I didn't move. You're not really a construction worker, are you? I questioned. Andrew coughed lightly. Well, I went to the construction site yesterday looking for you. I asked a random worker where you were, and he said young Mr. Stanfield hasn't been on site for a couple of days. Young Mr. Stanfield, that's you, isn't it? And I checked that the shopping center is owned by a well-known entrepreneur with the surname Stanfield. Judging by his age, he should be your father. Andrew looked at me, tentatively touching my hand. Seeing that I didn't pull away, he immediately pulled me into his arms. He kissed and nuzzled me. There was an irrepressible physical attraction. Yes, it's me, he admitted. My parents thought I was getting in their way at home, so they insisted I go work at our family's construction site for a month or two, to avoid disturbing their lovey-dovey time. At first, I didn't reveal my identity, because you looked so adorable wanting me to be your kept man. Later, I just didn't know how to tell you. Afraid you wouldn't want to keep me if you knew the truth. By the way, Claire, you've become braver now. You're even talking more with strangers. Keep it up. I was all wet from his kisses, my voice moist with emotion. Then why did you agree to be my kept man in the first place? Didn't you feel insulted? Insulted my arse, he scoffed. Claire, I think there's something I haven't told you yet. What is it? I asked. Andrew stopped kissing my face and lips and moved to kiss my forehead instead. A kiss on the forehead. It signifies cherishing. His voice was low. I like you. From the first moment I saw you. When I passed by your coffee shop on my way to the construction site. I liked you. I just didn't dare to approach you casually because you seemed a bit timid. And I was afraid of scaring you. I gazed into his eyes at close range, my heart pounding like a drum. Then I'm very lucky. Andrew held me close and said solemnly, you've always been lucky, and you'll be even luckier in the future. The next day, Andrew took the initiative to introduce me to his parents. They were the kindest elders I had ever met. Although they were wealthy, they were kind and loving, and they gave Andrew a playful kick. Because last night, in a moment of passion, he had bitten my neck. The teeth marks were quite visible. They thought I had been bullied and vowed to stand up for me. In the end, I had Andrew. And I also had a family.